Let me ask you a question. The world's 12 richest billionaires hold more wealth than the poorest 3.5 billion people combined. On one side, 12 people. On the other, 3.5 billion. And the winning side is 12 people. So how is this possible? Work harder and you'll get rich, they say. But the hardest working people in the world are also the poorest. Farmers waking up at 5 a.m. Factory workers standing on their feet for 12 hours. Aren't they working hard enough? There's something much deeper going on here. And once you understand it, the way you see the world will change completely. Let's begin. First, let me introduce you to someone. This is Fred. You can tell just by looking at him, Fred comes from a middle-class family, a real stand-up guy. Every morning, he gets up early, goes to work, collects his paycheck, pays his bills. He saves whatever little is left over. He's hardworking, honest, and smart, but he just can't seem to get ahead. Why? Keep that question in mind as we continue. Now let me also introduce you to Rich Richard. This man has the same intelligence as Fred. To be fair, he may have had a slightly more fortunate start in life, but Richard's wealth grows exponentially every year. What is this Richard doing? Here's the secret. Fred is converting his time into money. He works, he earns. When he stops working, the money stops too. Richard, on the other hand, is converting his money into more money. He invests. And that money works for him even while Fred is sleeping. Economists call this compound interest, the thing Albert Einstein reportedly called the eighth wonder of the world. Think of it this way. You put $1,000 into something that returns 10% per year. After 1 year, you have $1,100. But now that $100 gain starts working for you too. After 10 years, your $1,000 has become $2,594. After 30 years, $17,449. Now run the same calculation with $1 million. In 30 years, $17.4 million. Money reproduces itself. And Fred? He was forced to spend that $1,000 just to survive. So he never entered this cycle. That is the most fundamental secret of inequality. Those who have money earn more money. Those who don't spend everything they have just to stay alive. The pandemic, the most striking proof in history. Do you remember 2020? The world stopped. Millions of people lost their jobs. Restaurants closed. Small businesses went under. So what did billionaires do? According to Oxfam's data, from March 18th, 2020 to the end of that year, global billionaire wealth increased by a full $3.9 trillion. During that same period, the total earnings of workers worldwide fell by $3.7 trillion. In other words, throughout the pandemic, a massive transfer of wealth took place, from the bottom to the top. Why? Because billionaires own company shares. Governments printed money to save their economies. That money flowed into stock markets. Share prices rose. A billionaire sitting at home was earning, on average, hundreds of thousands of dollars per hour throughout that period. The Forbes list. What changed in 40 years? In 1982, Forbes magazine listed America's 400 wealthiest individuals for the first time. The person at the very bottom of that list had a fortune worth roughly $240 million in today's money. In 2024, do you know how much you need just to make the list? $3.3 billion. The lowest rung has grown roughly 14 times over since 1982, adjusted for inflation. The list's average in 1982 was $730 million. In 2024, $13 billion, nearly an 18-fold increase. And how much did ordinary Americans' wages grow in the same period? Adjusted for inflation, the bottom 90% saw their wages rise by just 36% over 42 years. While billionaires' fortunes soared, regular people's salaries barely moved. Fred's education trap. Let's go back to our Fred. His father works in a factory. His mother cleans houses. Fred is bright, a high-achieving student. He scores well on his university entrance exam. But here's the problem. Fred's wealthy classmate received private tutoring throughout high school, attended a language course abroad, joined a robotics club. His family has connections. One phone call is all it takes to land an internship. According to Urban Institute research, Children from high-wealth families are 1.5 times more likely to complete university than children from low-wealth families. And this gap comes not from the children's intelligence, but from their family's wealth. Even more striking, a child whose mother never went to university but who comes from a wealthy family is twice as likely to climb the social ladder compared to a child from a low-income family in the same situation. So what we call equal opportunity is, in reality, unequal from the very start. So why does this happen? This cycle even has a scientific name. Sociologists call it the Matthew effect, taken from a passage in the Bible that says, "To whoever has, more will be given. From whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken away." In 1968, sociologist Robert Merton tested this principle in modern life. What he found was this: even when well-known scientists conducted the same research as their lesser-known colleagues, they received far more credit, funding, and recognition. Fame brings more fame. Money brings more money. And it doesn't stop at money. It applies to health. Wealthy families can eat better, get regular checkups. A minor health issue that plunges a poor family into deep financial crisis is just a small expense for a wealthy one. It applies to social connections. The saying, "It's not what you know, it's who you know," didn't come from nowhere. Upper-class children grow up naturally surrounded by doctors, lawyers, and executives. It even applies to stress. Harvard University researchers showed that chronic financial stress physically impairs a person's decision-making ability. Someone constantly thinking, "How am I going to pay the bills this month?" is spending a large portion of their mental capacity on that stress. And that capacity isn't left over for planning for the future. So what can we do? By this point, you may be thinking, "There's nothing I can do." But wait a moment. Throughout history, these cycles have been broken. And they weren't broken by luck. They were broken by people who understood the rules of the game and started playing differently. So let's talk about what you can actually do. The first step is putting compound interest on your side. You don't need to be rich to start investing. You just need to start. Even small, consistent amounts grow into something significant over time. Remember that 1,000 liras we talked about earlier? The only difference between Fred and Richard wasn't intelligence or effort. It was that Richard made his money work for him. You can do the same thing. Not tomorrow, today. The second step is financial literacy. This is not a luxury. It is a survival skill. Understanding how money moves, how interest works, how assets and liabilities differ. This knowledge changes the decisions you make every single day. Nobody teaches you this in school, but you can teach yourself. Books, videos, podcasts, the information exists. The question is whether you'll seek it out. The third step is your network. The saying, "It's not what you know, it's who you know," is frustrating. But it's also a tool you can use intentionally. Start building relationships with people who are a few steps ahead of where you want to be. Ask questions. Show up. Be genuinely helpful. Your network is an asset just like money, and it compounds too. The cycle is real, but so is your ability to gradually shift where you stand within it. The first move is simply deciding to understand the game, and then, one small step at a time, learning to play it better.